Hi guys, Simone here and welcome to Come Chat with Sima. Today I have with me Kevin Munga. Thank you for taking your time out to come and chat with me on my platform. Big up to you. Kevin, I want you to tell everybody a bit about yourself because I'm so excited. Your journey is magical.
Thank you.
And yeah, I want you to go from the beginning, from you growing up to what's going on for you now, and what you hope for the future.
Okay.
Before I get started, I just want to give you guys the insight to say that Kevin has just published his first book. So we'll get into that story a bit more, but until then, take it away from me.
All right. So I'm not originally from here. I'm from a small place called Sarcelles in Paris, in the suburbs. And it's a place known for violence, a place that's really deprived. But there was a lot of sense of familiarity, as in your neighbours coming to your house and you go to your neighbour's house. At the age of 9, my mother became severely ill. For no apparent reason. She just became really ill. And she was diagnosed with something called sarcoidosis, which attacks... it's a rare condition that attacks women from the age of 25 to 40. But it's really rare. It's a rare condition. But it attacks the bones, the breathing and the skin.
Oh wow.
So
only women?
It's women, yeah. Women aging from the age of 25 to 40. 1 in 25,000. So it's really rare, a rare condition. So that happened. And problems began in my house where my father and mother separated for a while, and that was going on at home. And one morning my mother just decided to join her sister, her younger sister, in London. So there was a new adventure. We came to London, Croydon. Yeah. And when I came Croydon, I saw similarities to Paris, France.
How old was you at this point?
I was 9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 9. So I came with my two brothers, two older brothers, but they didn't want to stay. They said to my mother, like, they're gonna go back and stuff like that. So they went back, but me being the youngest, her baby, so I stayed with her. And I saw similarities. I saw the area in which I was in, especially because they put us in a council block. People were, again, the same economical factors were coming up, so people were deprived to an extent, and I also saw violence as well when I went to primary school. But I had this complex due to the fact that I couldn't speak a word of English, so I had to adapt. Yeah, I had to adapt to communicate with people was really hard. Yeah. I was doing it through signs and just showing things and stuff like that, imagery. So that's what I did. And luckily enough, I was fortunate enough to learn English quickly and be able to speak by year 7.
Year 7? Yeah. So if you came here at 9...
The end of year 6, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, it's like a year.
Yeah. No, not even, I think probably 2 months, 2-3 months.
You learned at that age, basic, that's really good. I think it was
basic English.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, nothing fancy.
So that must have been a relief, because coming here at such a young age and not knowing a word of English must have been as well frustrating, and kind of you feel like secluded, like you can't fit in.
Definitely.
So that's dope that you've done it so quick.
I was also demoralised because of the fact that my father was obviously in Paris now, and then my 2 older siblings had gone back to join him, and they were of age to make the decision to stay or go, because they were 13 and 14, whereas I was young. I didn't really have the choice. So that was it. And I started secondary school, and then that was a new challenge, because in secondary school people was fitting into separate groups. So you kind of had the ladies' men, you had the people that were involved with sport and that were really good and thrived in that element, and you had people that were the so-called bad boys and gangsters. I didn't really fit into any of these groups. So from the age of 11, I'd say from the age of 11 to 16, I was trying to find myself and find my purpose and find out literally who am I, what can I do, what am I good at, and that went for a while. And then at the age of 16, I came to a realization that a lot of the people that are not involved or that are not in gangs or that are not that are not adhering to a gang become victims ultimately. And I felt like, what can happen? How can I escape? This problem. It was becoming a problem, going to an area and being asked, what ends are you from?
I was going to say, have you ever been attacked?
Yeah, so I've been approached. I've been approached a lot of times, going to areas. What's your name? What's your tag? Or who's your older? That was what was happening. And I came to this resolution and this decision with my friend, a close friend of mine, because we was on the outskirts of it, but we weren't involved. And we was just like, you know what? I feel like if we can't beat them, we have to join them. That's what the conclusion that we came to, and we just started hanging around with people that were a lot tougher than we were before. So and what happens is ultimately you just start adhering to that life and transitioning, because that's all that happens. I think.
Was this at the end of secondary school now? Or?
So so that was end of year 11, beginning of first year of college, and so I started to get involved in the street life, being involved in group fights, making money illegitimately. That's what encompassed all of that for a while, and that went on for a while until the age of I think 17, 18, where I was like, you know what, I think my aim was solely to make money now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my ambitions changed as I was evolving. So as I was evolving, I was like, you know what, now it's time to make money. The best way to make money in the streets is obviously illegal practices. So that's what I got involved in.
Yeah.
And then at the age of 19, I was fortunate enough to be invited to a church service, which I was
very different to the streets.
Yeah, very different. I was reluctant to go, but I was like, you know, I'll give it.
Who invited you, friend?
So a friend of mine who was heavily involved.
Oh, okay.
In gangs, but he was a lot more involved than me actually, because by that time I was just on making money in the streets, but he was involved, and he had been stabbed. There were two, actually. It was not one. They're twins.
Oh, okay.
It's one of them that invited me, but one had been stabbed, and then the other one was looking at 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 14 years in prison. Thankfully, he didn't go to prison, but that's the case that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was invited to church, and I felt like the word that day was for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were just talking about change, and they were just talking about afterlife and all these things, and it was good because for a while I hadn't been thinking about my life and where I was heading. It was just more, surrounding myself with materialism and making money and what I could get with that money, and that's all it was. But I feel like I was kind of like thinking about the consequences to my actions at that church service. So they were speaking, and then they made an altar call, and said whoever has a testimony to come to the front. So everyone had all these amazing testimonies, getting accepted for university, and I didn't really have anything going on for myself. So when they said that, I felt like, well, me transitioning would be the best testimony, And I went up to the altar call and just spoke about my story, and it was crazy because I felt like my story wouldn't be as impactful as everyone else who had been accepted, to university and stuff, but mine was really impactful because that was the day of my change. So I was talking about.
So you're basically talking about at that point when you've gone to the church. That's your change. That's your testimony there.
Yeah. So my testimony was about changing on that day. Yeah. And
that day you decided, right, I'm going to give myself
to Christ. Yeah.
Wow. And how did you know you were so sure?
So what it was is I didn't even feel like I stood up. I felt like at the time my strong conviction was that it was the Holy Spirit that made me stand up, because as far as I'm concerned, I remember my eyes being closed and then just being on my feet. So for me, that was an amazing sign to go up front and, just transition at that point. But I knew when I left that altar that now I can't go back, because I made a promise, and in the hall, my mother was there.
Wow.
So for me, it was just like, this is a promise I have to keep.
Yeah. You're promising to yourself, your mum, and to God.
Yeah. And then so after that, age of 20, had a lot of challenges. due to the fact that I left school with no GCSEs, and I also felt inadequate. Never really felt smart. So I had all these challenges and I had to battle through. That year, went into a bit of depression that year, and then at the age of 21, that's when I wanted to get something going for myself. So I embarked on a journey of getting a degree.
Okay.
Starting an access course and then starting a law degree.
With no, like, leaving school, nothing. Did you go to college?
I went to college, yeah.
Okay. Did you finish college?
Yeah, barely, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what made you decide I want to go uni?
So what was good at church, I was surrounded by people that were older, that had accomplished amazing things, and I feel like sometimes a lot of people talk, but I could see power moves being exemplified, and I feel like sometimes it's better to model things than just say it. So for me, it was amazing just seeing there was a person that was there who had a high rank in the bank, had a great position in the bank. There was people doing amazing things, serving God, working, and ambition. And my mother also was always saying that, you know, you were really argumentative and all of these things. So I went on and it was a challenge, you know, it was a challenge doing an access course, an access to law, but then eventually, I started a law degree.
So tell me about your uni experience.
Yeah, so obviously transitioning and starting university at first, it was challenging due to the fact that prior to that, I had never taken anything seriously in terms of courses and other stuff. So it was challenging at first, and I was at a school called BPP Law School, which was really intense.
Yeah, I just want to stop you there. Big up for law.
Thank you.
Not so many people. For me, I haven't even done uni, but law, going to study law.
Thank you.
That's dope.
Thank you.
Big up yourself.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing. I was at BPP, but whilst in my first year, I started to kind of look at leaders who had made impact in their community. And because I felt like I had left the world behind, of people that had distorted ideologies, false ideologies, that were still in the streets, friends of mine that were still in the streets, that could notice my change. But I felt like if they could notice my change, then maybe the younger generation, the younger lot that are coming up, I could maybe speak to them and talk about my experiences and say that I've been able to transition. If I can, then surely anyone can.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to look and see what I can do. So I started volunteering. My first year, a friend of mine introduced me to a church, and he told me that through that I could do assemblies and speak about my story, you know, and my transition. So I did that in the first year, and because of that, it kind of made me not do as well in my first year.
Right.
So what I did is I said I'm going to take a break within my degree, really focus on this activism, and then go back. So what I did that, and I was still doing all this activism. And
when you was doing that, was that solely in the church or was that to a wider?
It started in the church, then it expanded to other things such as schools, and other facilities. I was doing at other facilities as well. So when I was going into the schools, they would say, okay, you can do a youth club,
wow,
and other things. So, and pupils referral units as well. So that's.
And how old was you at this time?
So by that time I was 21.
21, young, and 21. Oh my gosh!
Because I feel like once you've been in a dark place and you see the light, you just want to stay in that light.
Wow.
So that's what I was doing.
And how was you feeling at this point whilst you was basically making a massive influence to certain people?
I felt like, well, it was a positive and a negative in my mind, because it was like, okay, you've started this degree, make sure you go and finish it.
Yeah.
So that was in my head at the time. But yeah, there was also a positive because of the transition I was making. My mother seeing me, you know, very determined about something. I hadn't been determined prior to that point. So for me, it was amazing to see the change in me and see how on fire I was to help my community. Yeah. So then after that, I went back, but then I decided to go to a public university because I felt like they cared about their students more, and the facilities and the library was a 24-hour. I really done my research because I really wanted to do well in my law degree. So went back a year after to do my second year to complete the degree really, So I was doing that, and then within my second year I was talking a lot, because by that time I was starting to read, started to sound a bit more articulate, so my friends was like, whoa.
Because you were saying that you was doing a lot more research.
Yeah, a lot more research and reading.
Yeah.
And I was researching, leaders and people that had made impact, so in their community or countries or worldwide.
And now they've become a massive influence to you.
Yeah, they had become massive influences to me. So Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, all those great leaders, Dr. Miles Monroe. There was a long list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so so going into my second year, pumped again, still doing my activism on the side, and I was talking about a lot of issues within the black community. So gangsterism, black on black crime, and the terminology as well. I'm saying that it's been normalized, and I feel like, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't heard white on white or Chinese on Chinese. So why has this become like a thing, black on black? So yeah, I was like, all these things, but I felt like all the things I was saying weren't being recorded.
Right.
And so I was thinking, what's the best avenue for me to record this, and maybe show it to members of parliament or people in higher places that can help me deliver this message. And it was funny because everyone kept telling me to write a book, but I had, doubts, because I was like, okay, I have to do it independently. How am I going to do it? I've never done this. Authoring is just another field. Yeah. I can handle university right now, but going into and becoming an author. But I trusted my gut, I think. I was speaking to God about it as well, and praying. And I feel like I got the go ahead from God. So yeah,
whenever you feel it inside, trust me, you know that you're on the right track.
Yeah. And I'm a spiritual man as well, so I was like, I feel like God is telling me to do this. So it started in my room with a red pen. Imagine. Wow. That's how I started. I was just taking notes, doing research, doing research. And ultimately, I wrote a 10-chapter book. So it had chapters such as gangsterism, black on black crime, police brutality, stereotypes, masculinity, black hip-hop, reprogramming your mind. Wow. And I had quotes as well. And then the last chapter that's when you find my story, Faith and a Fighting Spirit, because it talks about my transition and my life. Yeah. And
all of this you done whilst you was at uni?
Yeah, my second year. So I released it. I started mid-second year, and then in my third year, released it. Released it in my third year, 2017.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. Yeah. That is amazing. Yeah. So with your book, because I have my copy here, can you reach it for me? Thank you for bringing my book. Yeah, it's called Young Black Males Have Potential. Yeah, it's available on Amazon. Yes. Where else is it available?
It's available also in a all-black bookstore, New Beacons bookstore in Finsbury Park.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And what's so people can go check it out.
Yeah.
For me, what I want to ask you related to your book and related to your whole journey is, say for example, a young black boy then at 16, 17, sort of when you felt directed to go with the gang sort of side. If, for example, I gave this book to my little cousin or one of my nephews, what do you feel they can benefit from this, or the impact it could have for them?
So I think it's a broad question, and
it is a broad question.
I like the question. It's a really good question.
If you want, I could rephrase that and say, at 17, what would this book have done for you?
Okay, no, I like it. I like the original question.
Okay,
I like
let's go back to that.
Broad, I love it. So I think I can answer it in two ways. I think first of all, it gives me an option. It gives me an option because what it does is it creates an alternative for me, because like you said, if I was 16 and I had someone to look up to from my area that was an author or that was studying law, then I feel like it would have helped me, and I would have been like, oh, he's coming from the same place that we're coming from, and he's excelled in a field other than football, entertainment as a whole, or another area, or music, which is normally the cliche. So I think that's what it does. It creates an alternative, and what it does, it also, because it's so concise, the book, and I made sure, because I know people don't like reading. What it does,
I like reading.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
Usually people don't really they like the audio version and stuff. So what it also does is it gives you information that you can take in and that you can probably go back to, because it's not so long, you know, it's 56 pages.
Yeah.
So that was actually my objective.
So you've got all them chapters in 56 pages?
Yeah. I was trying to be as concise as I can and just, you know, pinpoint the most important points and release it. But I knew that the demographic would be 16 to 24. And so for me, it was just like, keep it short, concise, sweet, and try and change as many lives as possible through it.
Yeah. So Kevin, I want to talk to you a bit more about parenting, role models, and the reason why I feel like I want to ask you a bit more about it is because for me, I feel that who raises you has such an important part to play in who you are today. I feel like from personal experience, because of who I was surrounded by when I was younger and the way I was raised, it's helped shape me to who I am, which I don't think I've turned out too bad. But for me, I want to ask you, what's your perception on that, and how do you feel, especially with the male role models, their part has to play? Does it affect the children or the youth of today? How do you feel that has impacted you growing up?
Yeah, so in terms of father role model or a male role model in general, I feel like it could be measured in different ways. So I think it differs solely based on the fact that everyone's experience is different. So you may have a person that's supposed to be a role model, but that actually doesn't turn out to be a role model in your house, which is a male. Doesn't always have to be the father, it could be an older brother. As for me, I felt like if my father had been there, it would have been a good impact, because there's a lot of things that I feel like I've inherited from him in terms of, you know, my knowledge and learning quickly. And because he's a very intellectual man, my father, and just the thirst for knowledge. So once I got into that mindset, I never looked back. You know, I always want to learn now. I'm always, you know, try to read a lot more, but at times you get those times where you get lazy. But I'm really into learning documentaries and all of that. So in terms of that, I think it just differs on the background you come from, and I think what's happened in the house. Really.
So going from that, since you've published this book, I want you to tell me what's happened, what's going on now, and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, it's been surreal. I think it's been surreal since the release of the book, because I had doubts, many doubts. I felt like, oh, this is independent publishing. I didn't have any professionals around me, and I didn't go through the publishing route. I just felt like, you know, I just want to go independently because I want it out, and I felt like I'd have to wait and all of these things. In terms of the artwork in the front page, it wasn't a professional as well that did it. So it's a young person that's done that. Felt like I wanted to give them the power, since it's going to be a book about them. It's a young person that done the artwork on the front cover. So since the release, the reception's been amazing. I've had amazing opportunities. I've been contacted by Sky News, London Live, Russia Today, BBC, just via writing this. So it's been amazing. It's unbelievable.
Sounds a bit overwhelming.
It is.
That's really good. And what's your hopes for the future?
My hopes for the future is currently I'm translating the book in French now.
Cheers! Cheers!
So we're trying to take it global now.
So can you just, I know this is a bit like goofy, but can you just tell me what that says in French?
So in French, you would pronounce it "Les jeunes hommes noirs ont du potentiel." So that's the French version. I'm not even going to attempt.
Okay, So you're translating it right now.
So I'm translating right now. What we're trying to do as well is, I've spoken to you about this before, we're trying to create a curriculum around it. We know that it's going to be quite hard due to the fact that it's called Young Black Males Have Potential, and that can bring forth questions as to why is it only solely based on young black males, but I know that a few schools have been interested. So a school in Preston has contacted me, and also a teacher in South London has been able to tell the students about the book and also about me.
And they've contacted you, not you contacted them?
Yeah, the school in Preston contacted me, so that's what we're trying to do in terms of the book. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I think it can work. I wouldn't have no doubt behind it. I think it can definitely work.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you are a guy of determination. Like, I'm sitting here with a law graduate here who's an author. Like, are you crazy? This can work. If you go to, listen, it won't be too long until I'll be interviewing again to say, guys, this is now available in schools, in the libraries, you can, so definitely, I've got faith in you.
Thank you. Means a lot.
So, Kevin,
yes,
where can people find your book?
Yeah, so they can find it it's in a bookstore in Finsbury Park called New Beacons Bookstore. It's an all-black bookstore, but the easiest way to purchase it is just type in Google Young Black Males Have Potential. Comes up first. If you click on Amazon, that's the best way to find it. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Best way to find me on socials is Instagram. That's what I use. Kevin Munga, MUNGA _ and it will come up.
Dope. Thank you so much for coming to chat with me.
Welcome.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed his story. I enjoyed your story.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to what's coming forward for you in your life in the future. Guys, support. Go and purchase your book today. I've got mine today, and I'm going to ask you, I've got a pen in here. I'd like you to sign for me.
Live.
And I'm going to read. Once I read it, I'm going to call you and give you personal feedback.
Okay.
And then I will post it and share it on my socials also, guys, so look out for that. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this edition of Come Chat with Sima. Stay tuned for more to come, more inspirational, motivating stories to come. And until next time, peace. Subscribe, turn on your notification bell, tell a friend to tell a friend, share it, like it, and all of these things. Follow the links below. And until next time, peace and blessings to you.